Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about a new video game from Ubisoft called Far Cry 5. It's coming out this week. Set in rural Montana, this is not only the first Far Cry to be based in America, it's also the first one to heavily feature some American politics in it. Specifically, the game is full of conservatives, Second Amendment supporting white people, to be more accurate. And while some are bad and evil, many are also good and kind people, or they're somewhere in the middle, depending on the story. But that nuance seems to have the crew at GameSpot a little confused. Earlier this month, the GameSpot YouTube channel released a video called Far Cry 5 Has Us Confused, and it's getting pretty bad ratings and responses to it. Why? Well, it appears the main reason GameSpot is confused is because they expected all conservatives to be evil monsters or villains or something. Yeah, shocking. People in middle America aren't rainbow-haired hipster feminists, and most of them aren't bad people either. Crazy, I know. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves just yet. Let's go ahead and give GameSpot a chance here and check out their video.
Yeah, they drove us out to like a place in Livermore. It was like a barn and had to shoot crossbows and did a bunch of stuff. We haven't actually seen events like that in a long time, so it was interesting. Got a cult sermon, played some Far Cry. Joined a cult.
Back up for 2 seconds. Wasn't that like the main actor, the villain in this game, came in on a helicopter or something that you're telling me?
These guys sound so disgusted and stuck up about this trip. Dudes, you're getting paid to go out into the country, shoot some bows, and play Far Cry 5. That sounds fucking badass to me. I'd be killing it and stoked to be out there, but these lame beta losers are soft city folk apparently. They scoff at the idea of ever having to leave the Bay Area, let alone California.
Far Cry 5, it's definitely coming along. It's starting to feel like a little bit like an iterative type of game, like a Call of Duty that you would get every year, but I'm fine with that. It's just a ridiculous sandbox at this point.
I personally think Far Cry games are worlds better than Call of Duty, but I kinda get this bald eagle's point. Not that bald eagle, this bald eagle. He's right when he's saying this company, Ubisoft, was doing almost yearly releases for a while, for both Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, and these short, overdone sequels made the quality go down quite a bit. Far Cry Primal from 2016 was a bit of a bust if you ask me, but I still think Far Cry from 2014 was dope as hell, and I just played it last year, and that's why I'm glad they took their time with 5 here, and we're getting it now. Should be good.
So it feels like they've thought a lot about co-op and how to do it, but they haven't come as far forward as other Ubisoft titles like Wildlands and actually give you that full freedom to really enjoy it.
This guy goes on and on about why he thinks Wildlands is better than Far Cry, mostly because of the co-op, and honestly, for me, I don't care too much about multiplayer here. Far Cry games are known for their great campaigns. They have awesome, exotic, and exciting one-player stories. That's kind of the main point.
Far Cry 4 were just only the fortress assaults?
Yeah, it was like in the world, so it wasn't like completely separated, but it was still like you had to go to a specific thing, and it wasn't fully integrated the way this is.
Rule of law is dead and gone.
Well, it looks like this game is trying to focus more on the co-op, so I guess that's okay. I'm still not that interested in it though. Let's skip the story parts, alright guys? I want to see why GameSpot got so confused already.
I feel like the setting and the characters are probably going to be like the deciding factor in how much I like this game. Like, you know, they're going for like this American setting. They seem to be maybe pushing a couple of buttons.
You should be pushing lots of buttons. It's a video game, and I remember when there was a time when pushing buttons and pushing the boundaries was something video games strived for. Now we got all these weak, prissy beta losers in charge and reviewing stuff, and everything's too politically correct. They're afraid to offend people, so that's why these GameSpot guys are acting all upset about rednecks and conservative stuff here.
Watching some footage with you guys with the guy running for Senate who's a quest giver.
Who's also Herc's dad.
Herc's dad.
The dude that said Obama-loving libtards.
If them Obama-loving libtards find out I can't look after my own property, I can kiss this Senate run goodbye.
That guy's fucking cool as shit. This is actually the kind of stuff I love seeing in games. Sure, he's a little over the top and kind of a stereotype redneck, but that's kind of the point. It's funny. This game's really reminded me of some older Grand Theft Auto stuff. The mix of comedy and politics and stereotypes and current events. It's looking pretty sick. And like I was saying before, games used to make jokes like this all the time. They would push the line, but now people are too PC for this stuff, I guess. I don't think these GameSpot guys are very amused here. They sound almost offended.
Just watching that guy, I don't understand what tone they're going for with him, because I'm like, okay, he's not a villain, he's not like, but he's he's a quest giver, so is he just kind of meant to be an asshole? Am I supposed to like him? What are they trying to say with the characters in this game? I don't really know.
They're going for realism with some humor. What exactly did you guys expect? Montana is a very red state. Did they honestly think the entire state was a bunch of evil assholes too? Believe it or not, GameSpot, there's a lot of good people out in Montana and the flyover states. And there's a lot of people out there who hate Obama too. Tons. And they're not all bad, evil people. And maybe this Hurt guy in the game will turn on the protagonist later. I don't know. The point is, you shouldn't be so confused here. Sounds like these guys are living quite the sheltered life. It's really showing.
It seems like they are trying to sort of have it both ways, because even though the game is set in America and it's going to be viewed through that lens of the current political climate as we're in right now, they're also trying to say that it's its own standalone thing. It's not related to current politics, which again is weird because you have scenes like scenes with Hurt's dad who's talking about Obama loving libtards.
It's almost like this disbelief comes from them hearing all this liberal propaganda, demonizing straight white cis males. That's why we got this bewilderment here. They're detached from the real world. And these guys talk about the having it both ways like that's impossible. It's a fucking shooting game, dude. You just burned up 2 humans with a blowtorch, effortlessly. You can also train wolves and bears as sidekicks in this game. It's insane. You jump out of helicopters, airplanes, crash vehicles, but none of that is surprising to these guys. What really trips up GameSpot is having a character say, "Fuck Obama," when this really shouldn't surprise you much. And I feel like there was only one person saying this line too. Like, one of the guys says, "Obama loving libtards," and these nerds just can't get over it. And I say that's a win in my book. This is probably exactly the kinds of reactions Ubisoft was going for. And you know what? Back to what that one kid was saying. You're not supposed to feel anything in games like this. In these open world sandbox type games, things are morally gray. You can decide which way you want to go or how you want to feel about things. That's the point. Players can choose different paths and take different choices. And there's not always a perfect right or wrong, much like the real world.
You a registered voter? Don't matter.
The game also has a character creator, and I decided to make my character black. So going onto his property and actually hearing him talk about like this sort of deeply conservative and sort of gun-toting attitudes, that made me really uncomfortable. So
if scripted lines in a fictional video game make you that uncomfortable, you got issues, dude. You're also in the wrong fucking business. Why is this feminine-looking half-black dude even reviewing video games like this to begin with? If they hurt his Fifi so much, he should stick to sports games or something. Go review Tiger Woods golf or something. Because people like Far Cry for the action, the drama, the killing, and yes, the crazy people and groups and cult stuff in the games. That's what makes them awesome, but these loser SJW types can't take it. They're truly confused, and I think they're even offended by Far Cry 5. Seeing anything conservative gets their panties in a bunch, apparently, and that's pretty goddamn California of them. And I love how this guy was so uncomfortable he went and made a black character to try and rub it in that redneck character's face. You really showed them, guy. You really told that non-player character who was boss. He is a computer simulation though, so there's not really much to beat there.
It makes things awkward, but at the same time,
I'd be into that if that was intentional and they're leaning into that, but I just can't tell if that's on purpose or if that's just some weird.
It gets weird most of the time.
Okay.
I mean, that's what Far Cry's always been about, though. It's always been about.
That's right. Far Cry is about making difficult and uncomfortable choices. You gotta pick a faction to side with. Decide whether to capture or kill enemies. The way you play can make you good or evil. This is the whole point of the game. Making some options and making some things ambiguous so you, the player, can decide for yourself. But these GameSpot geeks are shitting all over that. They're shitting all over Far Cry's premise because this one has conservatives in it. It has straight rural white people and they're not all made to be monsters like they should be, according to them. Boo fucking who.
Insanity and getting into the head of these insane characters and then having them maybe convince you through cult of personality or just through the world being worse than they are. They start to make sense.
Exactly this. This is what Far Cry is known for. Having crazy, almost sympathetic main villains. They almost get you to join them in the end too. And depending on your choices, like I was saying before, you can pick sides and play differently each time. It's glaringly obvious that the conservative, middle American elements of this Far Cry is what's tripping up and confusing these lefties at GameSpot. And it gets even worse. This is exhibited even more in the next guy here.
I just want to kind of be able to play the game and have fun, but if the story and the stuff they're presenting is not handled well enough that it's actually impeding on the fun, then that's gonna suck.
The only thing impeding on your fun is you, dude. You and that stick up your ass. Why don't you just get over the conservative stuff? It will still be a fun game. I know this might be a little confusing. It's a little confusing seeing conservatives be real human beings to these guys, as opposed to the stereotypical monsters the media portrays them as. But maybe if you put down the Harry Potter for a second and left San Francisco once in a while, you might just understand this. You might know what real people are like out in America, or at least you'd be able to look past things like this and enjoy a video game despite disagreeing with it a little bit. I mean, you guys are so radical at this point, so left-wing. Far Cry 5 is basically ruined for you, and that's on you, not Far Cry, or not us, and not America.
It's just gonna be this weird brick wall between me and having fun with it.
Yeah, or you're just gonna have to like find a way to like mentally divorce those two and ignore it, which is not a great solution, but it seems like at least the gameplay is fun. And like,
Jesus Christ, bros. Get your shit together. First of all, it's just a game. Second, it's just a bunch of white people from Montana. It's not like you found a game depicting aborigines who eat their babies while living in trees and shitting on top of people all day. They're not wolf people who howl at the moon and turn into monsters. They don't even speak another language. The setting of Far Cry 5 is just white American English-speaking characters. The only main difference is they weren't brainwashed by the liberal media. They don't live in California hanging out with bald dudes and half-black guys, getting uncomfortable when someone says Obama supporting libtard. Get your shit together, dudes, and learn how to be men, why don't you?
One of our guns for hire was a bear named Cheeseburger who had diabetes. You can't get sillier than that.
The game looks like a lot of fun to me. I feel like these guys are just soft PC liberals. They're also a bunch of beta losers. That's why they're confused and can't enjoy a game like this. These dudes are like the Try Guys of GameSpot, and I'm sure there's not enough testosterone in this room to fill a thimble. In the end, ignorance goes both ways, GameSpot. If someone assuming all blacks are terrible is a racist thing to do, then assuming all white rural people are Nazis or bigots is too. And you say Ubisoft is trying to have it both ways here, but I think you guys might be too. The whole reason this group is self-describing themselves as confused here is because they expected all white conservative people in the game to be evil retards, like the news says. But guess what? They're not. And there's a lot of great God-fearing people out there, and I know, I'm one of them. What GameSpot really should be focusing on is the game and what it's presenting, instead of getting all bogged down by the modern politics involved, which by all appearances here appear to be a minimal involvement. Just a few lines here or there is what I'm guessing will actually come out of the game in the end. But these GameSpot guys couldn't even get past the first guy who said libtard. Pretty pathetic. These kids wouldn't last a day around my family. I ought to take them back to Southern Illinois and show them what some real good old boys are like one day. Hiya! Really though, this all just proves Ubisoft did a good job at making its game so far. Their usual setting up of morally gray, good versus evil plot lines appears to be achieved here, because if it hadn't, I mean, these guys at GameSpot wouldn't be so confused. And let's not forget, these GameSpot guys thought setting a person on fire with a flamethrower and watching them burn to death was enjoyable, but hearing someone criticize Obama made them highly uncomfortable enough to start questioning the entire game completely. And that says a lot if you ask me. What do you guys think? Should finding sympathetic or even morally neutral white people in a game be this confusing? Are these GameSpot guys a bunch of whiny beta wimps? And what do you think about this new game, Far Cry 5? It's coming out this week and I'm pretty excited for it. And now after seeing all this, I think I'm gonna have to play it. Looks insane. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.